The morning sun cast a golden sheen over Paramount Elite Motors, one of the most prestigious luxury car dealerships on the East Coast. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased an enviable lineup of exotic cars: McLaren, Bentley, Lamborghini, Ferrari, each more dazzling and unattainable than the last for the average passerby. At precisely 10 a.m., the glass doors slid open, and a woman stepped inside. She wore a plain white t-shirt, faded jeans that hugged her athletic frame, and scuffed sneakers that had clearly seen better days. Her dark hair was tied back into a simple ponytail, and aside from the wristwatch on her left hand, a modest leather-banded timepiece. There was nothing about her appearance that suggested wealth or extravagance. Her name was Julia Bennett, though most people called her Jules. At 36 years old, she had the calm confidence of someone who had carved her own path through life. Yet, to an outsider, there was little to distinguish her from any other middle-class woman running errands on her day off. Julia walked purposefully toward a sleek, deep sapphire blue coupe displayed on a raised platform. Its aerodynamic curves gleamed under the showroom lights. She stopped in front of the information plaque. 2025 Callahan Azure Coupe. Limited edition, one of 15 worldwide. Price, $290,000. She smiled softly. It was exactly what she had been searching for. A perfect gift for her sister, Emma, who had just turned 40 and recently triumphed over breast cancer. Emma had spent years putting everyone else first. Now, it was time she received something extraordinary. But no sooner had Julia begun to admire the car than she became aware of a presence behind her. "Can I help you find the pre-owned section?" a smooth, condescending voice said. Julia turned to see a tall man in an expensive tailored suit standing just a little too close. His name badge read Ethan Shaw, sales manager. His smile was thin and practiced, but his eyes betrayed clear skepticism. "Actually," Julia replied pleasantly, "I'm interested in this one." She nodded toward the coupe. Ethan chuckled, glancing briefly at her shoes. "Of course," he said, the patronizing tone unmistakable. "That's the Callahan Azure Coupe. As you may have read, it's a limited edition. Serious clients usually schedule private viewings for this model." Julia's brown eyes remained steady. "I'm serious." "Are you?" Ethan said, his brows lifting. "Look, I'm going to be honest with you. These vehicles start at close to $300,000. You might feel more comfortable taking a look at our certified pre-owned vehicles. We've got some lovely models just 3 blocks east of here." He gestured toward the exit with a dismissive flick of his hand. Across the room, a couple of salespeople exchanged knowing glances and stifled chuckles. Several customers had begun to watch, intrigued by the subtle drama playing out on the showroom floor. Julia could feel the heat rising in her cheeks, not from embarrassment, but from a sense of injustice that ran deeper than the moment. She exhaled slowly. "I'd like to see the interior of this car," she repeated, keeping her voice calm. Ethan sighed, glancing toward a couple entering the dealership, both dressed head to toe in designer clothing. His expression instantly brightened as he turned away from Julia. "Excuse me," he said without a second glance. "Mr. and Mrs. Wainwright, what a pleasure to see you again." As Ethan led the couple toward the very same coupe Julia had been admiring, opening the car door with exaggerated flourish, a young salesman approached her hesitantly. "Hi, I'm Leo Tran," he said. He looked barely 25, his charcoal suit slightly too big for his slender frame. "I'm sorry about Mr. Shaw," he added quietly. "Would you like me to tell you more about the Callahan Azure?" Julia smiled, appreciating his professionalism. "Yes, Leo. I like that very much." As Leo enthusiastically described the car's specs, its handcrafted interior, state-of-the-art tech, and 700 horsepower engine, Julia watched Ethan from the corner of her eye. He was telling the Wainwrights that the car had an 8-month wait list, but that he might be able to work some magic to get them one sooner. After Leo finished, Julia thanked him and walked toward Ethan, who was still engrossed in his performance. She waited politely until there was a pause. "I'm interested in purchasing this vehicle," Julia said, keeping her tone steady. Today, Ethan blinked at her, his polite mask slipping. I thought we discussed this, he said. This vehicle is being shown to clients who can afford it. I can afford it, Julia replied evenly. Ethan gave a sharp laugh. Listen, he said in a lowered voice. I've been patient, but you're wasting my time. Why don't you come back when you're better prepared? Bring proof of funds. Dress like you belong here. Nearby, Leo shifted uncomfortably. Other customers were clearly listening now, some shaking their heads, others watching with morbid fascination. Julia gave Ethan a long look. I believe my money spends the same as anyone else's, she said quietly. Not here, it doesn't, Ethan said bluntly. Now, please leave. With her dignity intact, Julia turned and walked out of the dealership. She kept her head high, even as she felt dozens of eyes on her back. As the door shut behind her, she pulled out her phone and made a call. That evening, Julia sat in the study of her home, a quiet estate on the outskirts of Boston. Across from her, her husband, Nathaniel Bennett, listened intently. Nathaniel was a tech entrepreneur whose innovations in green energy storage had made him a billionaire before his 40th birthday. Despite his wealth, he preferred jeans and hoodies to tailored suits and had always respected Julia's decision to live simply, using their fortune to fund the Bennett Foundation for Children with Disabilities, which Julia had founded and nurtured. As Julia recounted her experience at Paramount Elite Motors, Nathaniel's jaw tightened. What would you like to do? He asked when she finished. I want to buy Emma's car somewhere else, Julia said. But I also want them to learn something. Not because I'm angry for myself, but because no one should be made to feel like they don't belong. Nathaniel nodded slowly. Let's teach them a lesson they won't forget, he said. The next morning, at precisely 10:30 a.m., a custom Rolls-Royce Phantom, a deep midnight blue that shimmered like a sapphire in sunlight, glided to a stop in front of Paramount Elite Motors. A uniformed chauffeur stepped out and opened the rear door with practiced precision. Out stepped Nathaniel Bennett. Impeccably dressed in a bespoke navy suit, he exuded quiet power. He walked into the dealership as conversations ceased. Ethan Shaw, who had just finished lecturing his staff on qualifying clients effectively, snapped to attention. He adjusted his tie and practically sprinted to greet the new arrival. Good morning, sir, Ethan said, flashing his most polished smile. Welcome to Paramount Elite Motors. Ethan Shaw, sales manager. How may I assist you today? Nathaniel regarded him for a moment. I'm here to buy a car, he said simply. The Callahan Azure Coupe. Ethan's smile broadened. An excellent choice. Right this way. We have one on display. Nathaniel followed silently, letting Ethan ramble on about the car's exclusivity and 8-month waiting list. When they reached the platform, Nathaniel stopped. My wife was here yesterday, he said quietly. Interested in this car. She was wearing jeans and a white t-shirt. Ethan froze. I am sorry, E. You told her to leave, Nathaniel continued, his voice calm but steely. You judged her by her appearance. Ethan's face went pale. Mr. Bennett, I had no idea. You didn't care, Nathaniel corrected. That's the problem. At that moment, Richard Caldwell, the dealership's owner, approached, sensing trouble. Nathaniel introduced himself and explained what had happened. Richard looked horrified. This is unacceptable, Richard said. Mr. Bennett, please allow us to make this right. You can start by letting Leo Tran handle this sale, Nathaniel said. He was the only one who treated my wife with respect. Leo, who had been standing nearby in shocked silence, stepped forward. Yes, sir, he said. And one more thing, Nathaniel added, turning to Richard. Your sales manager and staff could benefit from volunteering at the Bennett Foundation. See what real value looks like. Over the following weeks, Ethan Shaw volunteered at the foundation. What began as a requirement soon became a humbling experience. He worked with children who had faced more challenges in their young lives than he ever had. And slowly, his perspective began to shift. A month later, at the Bennett Foundation's gala, Ethan stood near the entrance, wearing a volunteer's badge instead of a suit. He greeted guests and assisted children in wheelchairs. When Julia approached him, dressed in an elegant but simple blue dress, he swallowed hard. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. Julia nodded. I believe you. Later that night, Nathaniel surprised Ethan by asking him to handle a new corporate fleet order. Leo speaks highly of you, Nathaniel said. We believe in second chances. And with that, Ethan Shaw's life changed again, this time for the better. The lesson? True worth isn't found in appearances, wealth, or status. It's found in how we treat others when no one important seems to be watching.